Hey everybody, and welcome to day 1 of Murders at Karlov Manor on Magic the Gathering Arena. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open some packs. So this is the first time that I've opened any Karlov Manor pack, so I thought that I would just go ahead and record it while I did it. As you can see, we do get 3 just for logging in today, but I have been saving up my gold, so I should be able to open about 30 packs as soon as we head over to the store. And actually, that should give me 3 additional golden packs as well. So let's see. Yeah, 10 mythic packs. I think I've got enough for 3 rounds of this. Claim it. Claim it. I do not. How did I miscalculate that? Well, whatever. We have enough for 23 packs. I think I forgot that these were a little bit more expensive for the mythic packs. Now, I could buy 6 more packs, but I think I'll save up for the 10 mythic packs. So yeah, we will be opening 23 packs. So let's just start with the 3 free ones we got, and let's see what we get. I love new set day. I love new pack day. All right, so let's start just over here. And I probably won't break down every single card, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll get the ones that jump out at me. So first, demand answers. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice an artifact or discard a card, draw 2 cards. Okay, not too bad. It's interesting for me for a red card, but I guess it's an instant. Could be used to trigger some of those. It could be used to trigger prowess for sure. Felonious Rage. Target creature you control gets +2/+0. Gains haste until end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature. Okay. That one could be interesting. Rubble Belt Braggart. Whenever he attacks, if it's not suspected, you may suspect it. Now, this is one of the new mechanics. A suspected creature has menace and can't block. Okay. So there are, I think, 4 new mechanics in this set, so it is going to take me a minute to actually get used to those again. Equip Detective. Okay, that's... What does that mean, Equip Detective 1? You may equip cost to attach this permanent. I don't know what it means, Equip Detective. So if you have it... Oh, okay. So Detective must be... Oh, right here. So if it's a Detective, it only costs 1 to equip. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. All right. Oh, I always love a red card with Reach. I always love something that can block those flyers. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1, destroy up to 1 target artifact. Also, like things that can destroy artifacts. Or you can sacrifice an artifact, which should be easy with all the clue tokens and food tokens and things like that. If you do put 2 +1/+1 counters, still costs 3, so I'm not sure how much play I'm going to get out of that one. This one deals 1 combat damage to a player, gain 1 life. Okay, now Disguise, that's another one of the new features. You may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with Ward 2. Okay, so it's like an upgraded morph, basically. So you pay 3, play it face down, Ward 2, turn it face up for 5, so it is a little bit cheaper, but overall you're still playing more mana. He doesn't have anything that triggers when he turns over, so nothing really too exciting there. And after I go through this like first couple packs, I probably will skip over the commons and just kind of look at the higher rarity cards. It's just, since this is the first pack, I want to see like what we're getting here. Inside Source enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. Okay. For 3 and a tap, you control target detective you control gets +2 and gains vigilance. Okay. Not bad. Target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. Investigate. Investigate lets you create a colorless clue artifact token. Okay, so you pay 2, sacrifice it, draw a card. Again, there's a lot of ways I think in this set to create clue tokens, which is going to kind of feed back into some of these over here where you can sacrifice an artifact for different benefits. All right, let's just kind of skip up here. Due Diligence enters the battlefield. Target creature you control other than enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +2. So basically you get 2 different creatures with +2/+2 and vigilance. Okay. That's not bad. When Hotshot Investigator, I like that name, enters the battlefield, return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. If you controlled it, you would then investigate, which of course gives you a clue token. Okay. You know, and I know so far we've been in the comments, so nothing super exciting yet, but it is interesting just to see what some of these new cards are, because I've seen some of the spoilers, but I've avoided a bunch of others, so, you know, I'm not familiar with the entire set. So, and just for those who have watched me play before, my primary colors are red, green, and then those are my 2 favorites, and then I do splash black. Very rarely do I play white and blue. Nothing particularly against it. It's just not the colors I typically play. So if I'm skipping over some of these, it's just because I'm not as interested. Probably won't use them as much. Okay, so green-blue at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may collect evidence 4. When you collect evidence, that means to collect evidence 4, exile cards with total mana value 4 or greater from your graveyard. Okay. Whenever you collect evidence, investigate. So every turn, you can, at the beginning of combat, you can exile things from your graveyard to investigate and create a clue token. Okay. Okay, whatever. This spell can't be countered. Ooh, I like this. Let's see. This includes by the ward ability. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn and suspect it. Suspected creature again has menace and can't block. So that's not a bad instant. You can steal something, give it menace. It doesn't matter that it can't block because you only gain control of it until the end of turn. I don't hate this card. I definitely don't hate this card. Is there room for it in a red aggro deck? I don't know. 5 mana still seems like a lot. But I do think there's a home for this somewhere that I would like to try to find. All right, let's see what this is. Disguise. You may disguise this card. Okay, we already talked about disguise. That's like the morph. But this one has a face-up ability. So when it's turn face-up, creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Now this I like. So you pay 3, put it face down. Then you leave it face down until something happens that you need to give them hexproof, and then for 3, you pop it up. I like having a hexproof thing hanging around on the board like that. Now, the question I have, I think you can turn these face up at any time, right? So yes, at any time. The question I guess I have for these is how that's going to work in Arena. Like, what does it look like? I'm hoping that it still will show you what the card is, or how. I haven't played with it yet, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle the face down thing in Arena. Okay, so this is a case. This is something new and something I think is really interesting. It's very similar to your sagas, right? Except that instead of just 3 stages that kind of move themselves along, you have to move them along by solving. So, for instance, let's look at this one. You pay 1. When this case enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Okay, interesting. But then that just kind of hangs out and does nothing else until you solve it. So in order to solve it, 3 or more creature cards were put into graveyards from anywhere this turn. So whenever that happens, this is considered solved, and then it will move on and let you access that 3rd case there. This case then turns into a 4/4 Gorgon creature with Death Touch and Lifelink in addition to its other types. Not bad, especially if you're playing something that is just killing a lot of creatures. Or, I mean, even a decent combat can probably kill 3 creatures, because it just says 3 creatures. So you could be killing your own, or black, you could be sacrificing them too. All right, that's enough of the little stuff. Let's see these big cards we got. Okay, I can always use more dual lands, especially these rare lands. So it enters the battlefield tapped. Don't love that. When it enters the battlefield, you serve a 1. Look at the top card of your library and put it in your graveyard. Okay, not anything super exciting, but let's see what this... Oh, a mythic wild card. I think that's better than even just getting a mythic. And then let's see. Oh, it looks like they are trying to force me to play Rakdos this set. Flying and Trample. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. I don't hate that card at all. I actually really like that. Flying, love it. Trample, even better. You just being able to draw 2 cards, putting this, because it's red-black, alongside a Sheoldred in Standard, that's just a lot of life. That's a lot of life, a lot of card draw. All right, overall, good first pack. Let's open the next 10. So there's going to be a lot more, as you can see here. Oh, I love opening that many packs and seeing those wild cards go up. Let's just kind of spot check. Again, I'm not going to go through every one of the commons. I'm sure that there are videos out there doing that. That's not what I'm here for. I will probably check the ones I find interesting, the red ones, the green ones, the blue ones. Oh, I have heard a lot about this card, though. Red Herring. Haste. When Red Herring attacks each combat if able, and sacrifice it to draw a card. That's not too bad, I don't think. 2/2 for 2 with haste. So that kind of slots right in with some of the other things you run on curve with a red aggro deck. With the, attacks each turn if able, you're pretty much doing that red aggro anyway. But this has the benefit of being able to sack it for draw a card. I think this might have a place in a red aggro deck, although I don't know off the top of my head what it would actually replace. But I think that there's a home for that there. Okay, face down spells you cast cost 1 less, so I think that makes them 2. Suspicious Detonation. Spell costs 3 less to cast if you sacrifice an artifact this turn. Can't be countered. I'm liking all these can't be countered on red cards that we're seeing. 4 damage to target creature. I don't like this card. I don't think it's nearly as good as Witchstalker's Frenzy, because that one goes down in cost, deals 5 damage. In a red aggro deck, you're pretty much attacking with 1 or 2 anyway. I just think that you're not getting nearly as much value out of this card as you would a Witchstalker's Frenzy. All right, another Goblin Mask Maker. Rubber Belt Maverick. That's just a cool name, and that tiger looks awesome. Okay, survey 2, and he enters. Exile him from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Activate as a sorcery. Okay. Demand Answers. We got that one before. Another Thinking Cap. Love it. Wild card, wild card. Got another Orangutan. Dogwalker. Vigilance. Disguise. Okay. When Dogwalker is turned face up, create 2 tapped 1/1 white dog creature tokens. That is the cutest token. Aw, but then I'll feel bad if they get hurt. So I won't run that. But that is a cute card. Oh, I got 2 of them too. Snarling Gorehound. Menace. Another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control. Survey 1. Okay. Another Reach with Disguise, but it doesn't really do anything when you turn it up. So, I don't know how I feel about that one. Shady Informant. I like the art on this card. I'm getting a lot of Rakdos cards, or at least I'm paying attention to a lot of those. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to any target. I don't hate that. The Chase is on. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Investigate. I like first strike. This is a sneaky little combat trick that I'm really here for. Torch the Witness. I was going to say touch the witness. I don't know if you're supposed to do that. Torch the Witness deals twice X damage to target creature. If excess damage was dealt to that creature this way, investigate. Okay. All right, so that's kind of a flexible... I kind of wish you could target it anywhere, but makes sense. Oh, let's see. Push and pull. So this is... Man, I don't really... I guess this is one of those double-sided cards. I've never really played with these. So let's see. Destroy target tapped creature, or put up to 2 target creature cards from a single graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. They gain haste until end of turn, and sacrifice them at the beginning of the next step. So it is nice to be able to pull stuff out of your opponent's graveyard. That's always fun to do. It always feels bad when it happens against you, though. All right, we got another case. Let's take a look at this one. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature. That's nice. 3 or more sources you control dealt damage this turn. Okay, so that would be creatures, spells, I'm assuming. This one seems easy to solve, especially for red. Sacrifice this case. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. Choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Okay. Nice little effect there. Breakout. Ugh, I love when there's like a paragraph of text. Okay, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them. If that card has mana value 2 or less, you may put it onto the battlefield and it gains haste until end of turn. If you didn't put the revealed card onto the battlefield this way, put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in any order. Creature card. Okay, so you reveal the top 6 of your cards. If it's mana value 2 or less, it goes straight on the battlefield. Otherwise, it goes into your hand. Okay. Okay, not too bad. Counter target spell unless its controller plays 3. I hate counter spells. I just hate playing against them. Cease and desist. I do like these split cards like this with their naming conventions, though. I'm finding that pretty clever. So cease is exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Target player gains 2 life and draws a card. Okay. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Ooh. I like the desist feature. All right, look at all that orange. Let's see what we get. Incinerator of the Guilty. Flying and trample. Whenever Incinerator of the Guilty deals combat damage to a player, you may collect evidence X. And as a reminder to myself, exile cards with total mana value or greater from your graveyard. Okay. When you do, it deals X damage to each creature and planeswalker that player controls. I like that. So it's flying, makes it easier to get through. Trample means it's likely to get through. Deals combat damage to a player, you may collect evidence X. So I'm guessing X is the number of combat damage it deals. And then so however much combat damage it deals, it does that much to each creature and planeswalker they control. So if this goes through unopposed, that's 6 across the board. Wow. I like that card. I like that card a lot. Rare wild card. I can use those. Okay, Streetwise Lookout. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. I think this is definitely built for those white aggro, white weenie decks. So, not my cup of tea, but seems like a decent card. Vigilance, okay. When he enters the battlefield, investigate. You can sacrifice a clue. You draw X cards and gain X life. So definitely kind of a late game play there, but I think white-blue's probably playing a long game anyway.
Notice I didn't say.
Have another one of her. You get her for like pre-ordering the Mastery Pass anyway, so I do have one of her. Probably won't play her, because again, white-black is not what I typically play, but who knows? I mean, depending on what I get, I might end up trying something new. Whenever one or more creatures you control and or creature cards in your graveyard are put into exile, you may choose a creature card from among them. Until end of turn, target token you control becomes a copy of it, except it has flying. Okay. I don't hate that either. Okay. Ooh, this thing's got a lot. Look at this. Flying, lifelink, and ward 2. When it's turned face up, exile up to X other target creatures from the battlefield and or creature cards from the graveyard. When it leaves the battlefield, return them. So, wow, this is still 4X to flip it up. But if you've just got 1 or 2 things that you need to remove, okay, seems a little more situational. Here's another Rakdos. Love it. Pride of the Hull Blade. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. That seems super easy to happen with green. I mean, it's 10, but that's going to come down really quick. It has Defender, 2/15. Until the end of turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0. And this is interesting. It's 2 and then blue. 2 blue. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Interesting. Man, so if you manage to get this through somehow, that's 15 cards that you draw. Which would be, I mean, upper hand size, not really great. Conspiracy Unraveler. This, by the way, would be hard to get through, for sure. Flying. You may collect evidence 10 rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Interesting. Okay. Alright. Vanifar. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, choose Cloak a card from your hand. To cloak a card, put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. So when you cloak something, I guess that's just allowing you to play it without the mana cost. If I'm reading that correctly, you just don't have to pay the 3. Okay. Put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. And I'm assuming that face down cards are colorless. But what happens when you turn those face up? Do those counters stick with them? Don't know. That'll take some experimenting. Next 10. I love it. Love seeing all those wild cards. I need wild cards, because if you see, I've only got 5 rare right now. So if I'm going to make something, I'm going to need a little bit more than that. All right, start at the beginning. Seeing some things that we've seen before. Going to kind of skip past the commons. They're not usually as exciting. I'm sorry, commons. Out cold. Spell can't be countered. Tap up to 2 target creatures and put a stun counter on them. Oof, I hate those two. I think I just hate playing against blue. I just really hate playing against blue. Galvanize deals 3 damage to target creature. If you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, Galvanize deals 5 damage to that creature instead. Okay, I mean, it's not necessarily just a lightning bolt replacement because it only targets a creature. So, yeah, I don't see a time when I would run this instead of a lightning bolt or lightning strike. I think it's lightning strike. The 2 mana deal 3 damage to any source. So, yeah, I don't know. I like that it can go up to 5, but if you've drawn 2 or more cards, I mean, you'd have to have that paired with some kind of card draw, which... Again, not typical for your red decks. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on it. That's awesome. Bubble Smuggler. I like the name. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it on the battlefield. Tap, then shuffle. Investigate. Okay. Let's get up to the uncommons here. Let's see. Polygraph Orb. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You lose 2 life. Love paying life. Collect evidence 3. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card or sacrifice a creature. Alright. Here's another one. Disguise. I kind of am enjoying the disguise. I think it's a nice, interesting idea for this set. So when it's turn face up, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. When you turn it face up, too, it should be able to attack right away because it has been on the battlefield more than a turn, unless for some reason you did it and turned it face up right away. So this would essentially come out of the gate as a 5/5 with trample, though that does cost 7 mana to turn it face up. So, but at the same time, you're also getting +1/+ counters on all your other creatures. So I guess this really just gets better with how many creatures, and if you're running tokens or things like that, which green does a lot of tokens sometimes, so. All right, let's see. I am enjoying these cases, so let's see what this is. When this case enters the battlefield, choose target creature you don't control. Each creature you control deals 1 damage to that creature. Oh, interesting. So I think this is really good for one of those white weenie soldier aggro decks, too. When you've got like 6 soldiers out, for 2 mana, you're dealing 6 damage to a target creature. If you attack with 3 or more creatures, it solves this, and then solved creatures you control get +1. This is a good card, I think. I think this is a good card for white weenie decks. I think that has a home. When Detective Satchel enters the battlefield, investigate twice. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact with flying. Okay. Vigilance. Here's another Gruul. Add 1 of each mana. Spend this mana only to cast face-down spells or to turn creatures face-up. Okay, that one's not too bad. I mean, that essentially makes it, if you tap this guy, you're paying 1 to play a face-down creature. So, got 2 of these. Reach, always fun. When Crawl Whipcracker enters the battlefield, destroy target token an opponent controls. All right, that's not super exciting, but I'm sure it's useful. All right, when this case enters the battlefield, investigate. This is the case of the Filched Falcon. I think... Oh, the clue token looks familiar. I was like, did we look at this one already? To solve, you control 3 or more artifacts. Okay, that seems super doable. Once it's solved, you can pay 2 and a blue to sacrifice this case. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on target non-creature artifact. It becomes a 0/0 bird creature with flying, so you can turn your clues into 4/4 flyers. All right. Haste. Love haste. When Frantic Scapegoat enters the battlefield, suspect it, meaning that it would have menace and can't block. Okay. Whenever 1 or more other creatures enter the battlefield under your control, if Frantic Scapegoat is suspected, you may suspect one of the other creatures. If you do, Frantic Scapegoat is no longer suspected. Huh. Interesting. So you can just use this to continuously move your menace up to bigger and bigger creatures. That's interesting. Does this have a home in the mono-red archetype? Like, when you think about, I don't know, I mean, you've got this, and it's really competing against Phoenix Chick, right? Which has flying, which is nice, and the ability to come back from the graveyard. I still think that might be a little more useful. Glint Weaver. When it enters the battlefield, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures. Then you gain life equal to the greatest toughness. Imagine if this is paired with that 215, and you gave it 3. That's 18 life. That'd be nice. That'd be great. All right, let's open some of these. Oh, another Incinerator of the Guilty. Okay, I've got 2 of these now. I've got to run this. I've got to figure out a place for this because I think it's just... It's expensive. I mean, it's 6 mana. But it's good if you can find a way to ramp up to it. Maybe it fits in like a Gruul type deck where you're using green to kind of ramp into some of the bigger red threats. I don't know. If it was a dinosaur, that would be awesome because then it would have some synergy with some of the Ixalan cards. But it's not. It's a dragon. I wish it was a dinosaur. Urgent Necropsy. Does anybody else think that this looks just a little bit like, I'm forgetting her name, but from Firefly? I every time I see it, I think of, what is her name on that show? I don't remember, but it's the only thing I think of when I see this card. Collect evidence, of course, that's getting things out of your graveyard. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target enchantment, and up to 1 target planeswalker. So that just wipes out a bunch of things. I don't think you're always going to get 4 of those. Like I think it's going to be rare when your opponent has all 4 of those. And I think the usefulness of the card goes down just a little bit each one that you don't have. But what do I know? Collect evidence 6. It becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. When it attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from among cards exiled with it. If that spell would be put into a graveyard, put it under the bottom of its owner's library instead. Interesting. You would have to crew it in order to attack, and it does take 2 to crew. But still, you have the choice of what gets exiled. So then you would be able to know if you could afford to play it. So you should only be exiling things, or exiling certain things that you could play. once you play it, if it would go into the graveyard, you then cycle it back into your library. I kind of like that. The crew 2 makes it a little bit more iffy because it does take 2 additional creatures to do it, to make it attack. So, well, hold on. When you collect evidence 6, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn, so you wouldn't need to crew it if you collected evidence, right? It's a little confusing. I might have to play with that and see exactly how it works. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, its controller may exile that many cards from the top of their library. They may play those cards until the end of turn. Ooh. I don't like how that helps my opponent, too. Not my favorite. There's another 215. I gotta find a place for this guy. I like him. That guy again. Undergrowth Recon. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target land card from your graveyard into the battlefield tapped. Well, that's not bad. This would probably be good, too, especially if you're playing like a green-black and milling a lot. You'll just be able to essentially be putting 2 lands out a turn. If you've got them in your hand. Oh, I love the Quake Mole. Whenever it becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. And if you pay 3, 2 red, 2 blue, he must be blocked each combat this turn if able. So he's a little bit easier to kill with 4, but I mean, just being able to have 2 combats, if you can make things attack him, 8's going to take out a couple creatures, and then immediately get to have another attack phase after this. I do like him. 3 Whispers. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. Target creature gains Vigilance until end of turn. Target creature gains Double Strike until end of turn. And since none of those are taps, you could essentially, I mean, you'd be paying 3, 4, 5, 6, but you could give something Vigilance, Death Touch, and Double Strike. Not a bad deal. Intrude on the Mind. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles. Put that card into your hand. Put that pile into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. Create a 0/0 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Then put a +1/+1 counter on it for each card put into your graveyard this way. I've seen a lot of discourse on the internet about whether or not this card is good. So I'll say go check that out, because I don't play blue a lot. So my my first thought is just to split it 3-2 and assume they're going to give me the 2. But we'll see. Now we've got 2 golden packs. Let's open all of these. These are always fun. Boom, 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 boom. Love the wild cards. Restless Ridgeline. I, again, need all of the rare lands I can get, so I'm totally cool with that. Plus, I do have a dinosaur deck that I like to run, and that fits in really well there. Pyrotechnic Performer. It has a disguise. Whenever another creature you control is turned face up, that creature deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Okay, I like this card. Okay, so you can hit face down. If you're playing this with a bunch of other like face down creatures, turned face up. This would be really good to burn if you're doing a disguise burn deck. Oh, I don't hate that. Steam Core Scholar, Flying Vigilance. When he enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an instant or sorcery card, or a creature with flying. Alright, a white-red dual land. Ingenious Prodigy. Skulk. Creature with Skulk can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Okay. So it can't be blocked by... Okay. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, depending on how much you pay. If it has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from it to draw a card. Okay. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. I don't know how much goblin synergy there is in Standard right now. Soul Cleaver. Equipped creature, Tarian Soul Cleaver. Has Vigilance. Whenever another artifact or creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Dusk Legion Duelist. I've seen that one before. Deadly Cover-Up. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect evidence 6. Destroy all creatures. If evidence was collected, exile a card from an opponent's graveyard. Then search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards of that name and exile them. Player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled this way. Ugh, this could, like, totally get rid of, like, all of your opponent's Shieldreds. I would run it just for that. Of course, if I'm playing black, I'm probably running Shieldred. Ward 2, love Ward. Whenever Sovereign Okanek attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of +1/+1 counters on that creature, equal to the difference. Okay, so when it attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power. Okay, hold on. This is blowing my mind for some reason. When he attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power. So this creature's base power? Put a number of +1/+1 counters on that creature to equal the difference. Okay. That's worded kind of confusingly. Cityscape Leveler. Trample. Okay. When you cast a spell and whenever Cityscape Leveler attacks, destroy up to one target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a tapped Power Stone token. Okay. So, I really, really wish, and I thought I had enough for another. I'm tempted to open 6 more packs, but I'm going to hold out. I like buying the Mythic packs better. I like buying them 10 at a time. It's just so much more satisfying. Did get some decent wild cards, 10 uncommon, 6 rare, 8 mythic. Hopefully that will be enough to at least fill some gaps for some of the new cards in the decks that I currently run. Ooh, these are pretty. All right, now I'm getting distracted. Anyway, that was my first Murders at Karlov Mansion pack opening. I do not have time to do any playing right now, but I will try to do some in the near future, maybe later this week. But I did just want to invite you to open the packs with me and see what we got. So some decent pulls. I think especially the reds and the greens that I saw. Man, I really want to find a way to work that dragon in. But that'll be it for right now. Keep your eye on the channel for more Magic content and D&D content, or just tabletop content in general. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.